Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something that is absolutely epic in the best way possible. As you can see, we've got not just one, we've got two brand new Kaiju figures to take a look at. As you can very clearly see, these are the Titanic Creations / Dope Pope Yongary and Pulgazary, and these are the Chibi versions of these Kaiju, and these were only recently unveiled. I had no idea that these were even being made until recently when they had posted them up on their social media accounts as they made these available at DesignerCon, and I thought they looked incredibly cool, and I now have the pleasure of actually having the chance to see them in person, and I can tell you with confidence they are even cooler in person. So first of all, as you can see, we've got awesome artwork up here. This artwork was created by Nick Shev, who I will actually leave a link to in the description if you'd like to check him out on Instagram. He is a fantastic artist, and you can very clearly see that here with the art that we have on the top of the packaging here. You'll also notice a limited edition number, because this is 34 out of 100, which lets you know that these are a limited edition release. So if it's something that you are intrigued by, something you'd like to add to your collection, you definitely need to get on doing that immediately before they sell out. And then on the back, look at that awesome shot of Pulgasari, and you can also see it has the Dope Pope autograph on it, which is even cooler. But the figure itself, again, looks absolutely awesome. Never in a million years did I expect to one day hold a figure of Pulgasari in my hands. That is just so unreal to me. And then we also have Yongary, which is, again, another, actually pretty much the same case as Pulgasari there. I never would have expected to one day be able to have a Yongary figure, you know, in hand, and I now have both, which makes this even more exciting. But you can see, again, the artwork is fantastic. Nick Shev really does a great job on his art. Look at Yongary, Chibi version and all, just kind of stomping through the city. And you can see again that we've got the limited edition number up here, again 41 out of 100. And then, if we turn it around, another nice close-up shot there of Yongary, and again the Dope Pope autograph, which is super awesome, honestly, if you ask me. One of the most iconic Kaiju sculptors ever with Dope Pope. And again, the artwork looks great, and then you've again got the figure right here. So it almost pains me to open these just because they look so nice in the original packaging and everything. But we've got to do it. We've got to do it for the sake of the review. So let me pop these open, and then we'll come back and check them out. So here are our Kaiju, and they look so cool now out of the packaging. I love the coloration that they've given them as well, giving them that, honestly, like that limited edition look and feel, if you ask me. But as per usual, and I expected no less, when it comes to the sculpting of these figures, Dope Pope is as always on point, and it's so cool to see a different version of Yongary sculpted by Dope Pope. I have actually previously reviewed a Yongary from Dope Pope here on the channel, so it's nice to be able to get to see a different version of Yongary again, and you can see again, it looks awesome. Just, I love the fact that the mouth is open so wide too, just like, you know, the kind of the way you see it open in the film, which is really cool. And then again, maybe the most obscure Kaiju of them all, we've got Pulgasari here, which you can see looks absolutely epic, and also has captured all of the, you know, key elements of this Kaiju in perfect form. But man, it's super vibrant detail on this as well. But it's not surprising when it's a Dope Pope sculpt, you know you are getting quality. So let's go ahead, jump to a closer look at both of these, and we'll check them out further from there. So we'll begin with Pulgasary, because why not? So here you can see up here in the face, we've got a really nicely sculpted head for Pulgasary, and you can see sculpted with the mouth in an open position. We've got those nice big large fangs sticking out of the mouth right there. You can see the tongue and everything on the inside of the mouth, and all of the teeth are sculpted quite nicely. For the most part, they look kind of sculpted individually, which is nice. We can see the eyes as well sculpted, and the nostrils right there on the tip of the snout. As you lead up, you've got absolutely gigantic horns for Pulgasary, and you can see even those sport some nice fine detail Nice, very fine texturing, pretty much what I would expect to see when it comes to the type of texturing I would imagine on horns. You can see a little bit more fine detail up here on the top of the head. As you lead around to the back of our kaiju, you can see a line of spikes leading down the back, as well as this very impressive texturing moving down. And again, look at how vibrant the detail is on the back of this figure, and just the way the detail pops. It is extremely impressive. As you continue to lead down, you continue to see ridges leading down along the spinal column all the way out into the tail of Pulgasari. You can also see the skin texture and everything continues to look extremely well done. There's just so much really nice fine detail back here, all sorts of like really impressive kind of cracks and crevices within the skin of our kaiju. As you move around the front, you continue to see that kind of, armored look for our Pulgasari. You can see the arms moving here into the stomach. One arm is held up a little bit higher than the other. We can also see the nails are sculpted. You can see that for both hands, but all of the fingers as well sculpted quite nicely, and you'll see the same thing over here. Nice little kind of like a spike leading off of the back of the elbow right there. And then as you move down a little bit further, we can see the stomach basically for our Pulgasari, again given that armored look, and you can see the same deal as you lead down through the course of the legs all the way down into his massive feet, again giving him that very cool chibi look. And you can see the toes sculpted nicely as well as the nails, and yes, even a dew claw back there on the back of the foot. If you look around, you'll see the detail looks great everywhere, and even on the underside you actually see the name of our kaiju, of course. But that is absolutely awesome, and again, my very first Pulgasari to enter my collection, which makes that figure even more special. And then we've got Yongary, and Yongary has always been a special kaiju to me because it was a kaiju I discovered fairly early on in my love of kaiju. I didn't figure out that Pulgasari existed until years later, but Yongary I did discover at a fairly young age, and I remember really, even though it's like one of the most cheesy kaiju movies, I remember really loving that film back in the day. So having now two variations of Yongary in my collection is incredibly, incredibly cool. And as you lead through, you can see the skin texture looks absolutely fantastic on Yongary. Like when you get nice and close, look at how impressive that skin detail is, even considering the fact that this is just kind of a stylized chibi version of Yongary. It's so impressive to see how much fine detail, how much work Dope Pope puts into his sculpts, again giving you a high quality sculpt no matter what. You can see we've got that nice big horn here on the tip of the nose of Yongary. The eyes are sculpted really quite nicely. We also have that kind of like ridge-like look leading over the top of the head. Again, we have the mouth in an open position, and I love that it's open pretty much the exact way you see it opening in the film itself. We can see the teeth all sculpted individually, looking really cool, and we can even see the area inside the mouth that shoots the fire out of the mouth of Yongary, which is also awesome. As we continue to move along the back of our kaiju, you do see almost like those kind of plates moving along the back of Yongary, and as you move down, you'll see that the texturing in those as well looks honestly fantastic. And again, like just right here, look at that skin detail. That is out of this world. Some of the nicest skin detail I think I've seen on a kaiju figure in general. And as you lead up here into the arm, you've got the arm sculpted quite nicely. We can kind of make out some muscle definition, and we've got the fingers as well as the nails sculpted quite nicely. We have the other arm kind of held up into the air in almost like a somewhat menacing sort of a pose, like he's about to come down with that hand and just smash a building. And then as we move down along the underside, you see that almost kind of scoot-like appearance to the way that the skin looks on the underside, almost a little bit crocodilian to the way that the skin looks on the underside of Yongary. And you'll also notice that the legs are sculpted quite nicely, again when it comes to the skin texture for sure, but also in that upright classic kaiju pose. And then again, with the tripod position occurring. And then you've got a really nice foot sculpt as you lead down. You've got the toes all sculpted, the nails all sculpted really nicely. And you can even see the bending of the skin there in the knee. And then we lead back here around, and you can see the tail loops back around toward the front. We've got those spikes leading off of the tip of the tail, just like you would see on Yongary. And you can see again the bend in the tail from up above. Really sharp bend, but again kind of giving him that really cool, really cute sort of chibi look. And again, when you look at it from both sides, you'll see how absolutely fantastic that figure is. Again, another home run, as always, from Dope Pope and Titanic Creations. Another thing that's really good about these figures is the fact that they can stand perfectly. And of course, with Yongary, it's not that surprising because the tail's touching here on the ground, so it helps when it comes to the balance. But when it comes to Pulgasari, you can see the tail is actually lifted up off of the ground, so very impressive stability for something that is only standing, again, on its 2 feet. As far as a size goes, for a height, you're looking at around 4 inches, maybe a little over, or about 10¼ inches for Yongary, and then for Pulgasari, pretty much the same thing, actually. They're right there in the same similar size range. If we go to the tip of the horn here on the top of the head of Pulgasari, you can see about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. Actually, no, I'd say it's about the same if you lead there to the back of the horn. So, roughly in that size range. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being, next to our chibi versions of the Yongary and Pulgazary from Titanic Creations. And you can see they are pretty decently sized, honestly. For some reason, I expected them to be a little bit smaller when they were arriving, so I was pleasantly surprised to see that they do have some pretty good size to them. Definitely impressive in every aspect, including the size. And if you are familiar with Pop Funko figures, here's a Pop Funko Indoraptor next to our Titanic Creations figures, and you can see that they are a little bit bigger than the Indoraptor is, but kind of similar in size to like a standard Pop Funko figure, just to kind of give you an idea here as far as the way they might size up. And to also further show you that, here is a Pop Funko version of Godzilla, the 1984 Godzilla, and you can see again right there in the same similar size range, helping to give you a really good feel, I think, for the size of these figures. Most people at this point in time are probably pretty familiar with the Pop Funko figures, so I would imagine this should give you a pretty good idea, a pretty good feel for the size of these absolutely epic kaiju from Titanic Creations. So these brand new Titanic Creations Chibi, Yongary, and Pulgazary are awesome. Definitely super fun figures. I love that Titanic Creations every once in a while will pull out something that's a little bit different, a little out of the ordinary for them, and I think they always excel when they do that, and they absolutely have done the same with both of these. But the thing that I love the most about these, I think, is the fact that even though they are so stylized and look perfect in this style, they are also still super highly detailed. They still retain the same impressive fine detail that you know and love from Titanic Creations and Dope Pope, making them just look so unbelievably impressive here standing before me. You know, when you take a look at a lot of other similar, you know, specifically actually if you look at the Pop Funko figures like I had just compared with these, and you look at the detail on those, they're okay. But when you go from the detail on like a Pop Funko to the detail you see on these, it is night and day. These are so unreasonably highly detailed, and again detailed in the best way possible, making them twice as impressive as your standard figure that looks like this. And of course we also have some really cool poses for both, especially when it comes to Yongary. I love the fact that he's got his arm up there like he's about to smash a building and his mouth wide open where he's about to spray some fire, and then again, Pulgasari looks like he's about ready to do battle against Yongary, just basically prepping himself up for that fight. And again, that also makes the fact that they have released both of these at the same time even cooler, because you can display them. Like if you really wanted to, you can create a small diorama with both of these kaiju fighting each other, which that would actually be a pretty fun movie to watch now that I think about it. But again, absolutely awesome in the best way possible. So if you are interested in picking these up, as I mentioned earlier in the review, they are limited editions, so I highly recommend doing that as soon as possible on the Titanic Creations website, because they are officially available on there. So make sure you check the link that I will include in the description to TitanicCreations.com. Head on over there and grab these while they last. Again, being limited editions, they're not going to last forever, so if you want them, absolutely order them right away. And they'll also make, again, pretty cool stocking stuffers for Christmas, which is definitely fun. So make sure you check these out on TitanicCreations.com. Grab them again while they last, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.